There's an old saying in the boating world that the two best days of a new boat owner are the day that you buy it and the day that you sell it. And I actually think that that applies to jobs as well. Because let's face it, you're probably never more excited about a job that you're working. It's the day that you receive that offer letter and the day you tender your resignation. But there are some circumstances where accepting that new job offer may not be in your best interest. So in this video, I want to break down some of the signs that you should avoid taking that job offer. Hey everybody, it's Brian from A Life After Layoff. And if you don't know who I am, I'm a corporate recruiter with over 20 years of experience interviewing and hiring thousands of people into some of the world's most well-known and respected companies. And I've made it my mission to demystify how hiring works and how to reclaim control over your career. So if this kind of content interests you, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You may also want to hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future content. I'd also like to thank today's sponsor, Delete Me. More on them in a minute. So let's set the stage here. Perhaps you're somebody that is tired of your current job. Maybe you have a little bit of grief with your boss and you're looking to make a change, or you're somebody that happened to have a recruiter with an opportunity that seemed pretty good fall in your lap, and you're really debating on whether or not you should accept the position. And of course, just like a shiny trinket, it might be tempting to take the offer and move off into the sunset. But not so fast, because there are some things that you should be looking for. First reason might be that you're simply not ready for the position. And I know that this is something that a lot of people don't want to hear, because there's this concept of fake it till you make it and get the job and figure it out later. There is some truth to that to some degree, but you have to be pretty careful here, because if you take a position that you're not quite ready for, you haven't developed the right skill set or competency, you could be setting yourself up for failure, and one quick turnover could ruin your confidence and potentially lead to other successive turnovers. Because what I have noticed is one bad job tends to lead to another bad job, which tends to lead to another bad job. And what might have been a promising career can be derailed by one poor decision. And now career strategy is going to play a massive role here by knowing exactly what it is that you're trying to accomplish in the job that you're currently in. And by taking that new position, does it actually help your resume the way it needs to? Thing is, most people can't answer that question. They just take the job because the paycheck seems to be a little too tempting without thinking about the long-term consequences. And oftentimes in my career coaching sessions with people, we can pinpoint an error in their career where they've taken a job that maybe they weren't ready for, and it usually sets them off on a certain path. Which leads me to the next one, which is the grass may actually not be all that green on the other side. Oftentimes when we're sitting at the same company or in the same job for a period of time, it's easy to start thinking that the grass is greener somewhere else. That other company will pay me more. There'll be a better work environment. That boss will be a more effective leader. But the stark reality is that's probably not the case. Now, I've made another video about how there's jerks in every corporation. So if you're trying to leave that a-hole over there in accounting, the chances are you're going to be finding the jerk over in marketing in the new company. And you taking that other job might actually start to just weaken a resume, especially if you don't have a specific purpose in mind. Of course, I believe a steady job is bad for your career, especially if you're going places. So there is some timing and, again, some career strategy here on when to leave an organization, because you don't want to overstay your welcome. But you have to be smart when you're doing this and make sure you know exactly why you're taking the job that you're taking. The next reason not to accept that job is that it might be riddled with red flags, and you have rose-colored glasses on because you're so anxious just to land your next job or to get away from what you perceive to be a toxic situation. Again, when the grass seems greener somewhere else, you're more willing to take on the risk of some red flags and kind of just ignore them. But make no mistake, you should be paying close attention to anything that doesn't sit well in the interviewing process. Now, of course, I've made videos on red flags that you should look for in your interviews, so you should check that video out as well. But some of the obvious red flags of how you're treated in the interview shouldn't be dismissed. If they're asking you to do things that you don't feel comfortable with, or the terms and the conditions of the job seem unrealistic or aren't realistically reflecting the level of skill that you bring to the table, pay close attention to that. And if the boss isn't treating you all that great in the interview process or doesn't seem overly excited to see you, you can probably expect that they won't be overly excited when you're actually working there. Pay attention to those red flags. You don't want to be a fairly quick turnover yourself. The next reason is they're potentially selling your data. When you are filling out applications and you go through the pre-employment process, they are pulling that information to check things like your background, verifying employment, verifying education, etc. And you're providing a lot of personal stuff. those companies that are checking your backgrounds will often resell your information to third-party data brokers. And then those data brokers can do whatever they want. And obviously, we want to have a higher degree of control over who has our data and how they use it. Now, the issue is that we don't know where that information is showing up, and it's a very cumbersome process to go and opt out of every single database that has your information. And that's where today's sponsor comes in. Delete Me offers an innovative solution where they help you find where your information is showing up online, and they take steps to remove it for you automatically. Getting started is really easy. You have to fill out a basic questionnaire where they'll ask some personal information so that they know what to look for, and then they get busy scouring the internet and looking for where these data brokers have your personal information. And every so often you get mailed a detailed report of all the activity that they're doing on your behalf and where they're finding your information and how it's being scrubbed. And if you'd like to get started, Delete Me has been gracious to offer a 20% off discount if you use the code LAYOFF at sign up. So you can either click on the QR code on the screen right now, or I will leave a link in the video description below. The next reason why you shouldn't accept the job is that they're potentially overpromising you. And I've seen this happen personally quite a bit, where a company, in order to recruit somebody because they're desperate to fill a position, will overpromise either the terms of the job, the compensation, or some potential future promotional opportunity. And certainly a lot of people have found out the hard way by accepting a remote position only to have them forced into the office a year or two later as company policy shifts. And it can feel like a bait and switch. So if you're talking to an employer and they're providing you with terms and conditions that seem a little too good to be true, I would be very skeptical of them. And I would want to see everything in writing, but even then, that doesn't necessarily guarantee that they'll have to deliver. But furthermore, I want to trust my gut here, and I would want to look for proof that they actually do what they say they're going to do. So if they promise you that there'll be a promotional opportunity at the end, look for other instances where people have gotten promoted. You can find a lot of interesting information by snooping on LinkedIn. Now, you're never going to be able to fully vet whether or not they'll actually live to their word, but trust your judgment, in anything that they're promising, I would like to see it in that offer letter to begin with, and hopefully it's not a future promise. The next reason why you shouldn't accept that offer, or at least think long and hard about it, is the same reason why you want to leave your current job. Somebody else's trash is another person's treasure. And I can't help to think to myself that the job that I'm interviewing for, somebody else probably just rage quit because they were really mad at the boss, or that it was a toxic situation, or they didn't get the promotion, or they got passed by for the bonus, or any one of those circumstances. You know, think of all the jobs that you've ever quit that you weren't satisfied with something. There's going to be some poor schlup later on interviewing for that same job, trying to show excitement, trying to jump through all these hoops, trying to impress this hiring team, and they're likely walking into the same issue. So when you're interviewing for that job, keep that in the back of your mind. It would be really good to know why the person left before you, and then try to ask really good questions so that you can avoid some of those same pitfalls. The final reason why you might want to consider passing by on that job opportunity is that the job actually isn't a good fit for you. You're taking it for the wrong reasons. In other words, you're not going to learn anything in this job. It might actually be a lateral at best, or maybe even a reverse mobility job at worst. You have to keep in mind that every job you take in your career is either going to strengthen or weaken your resume towards your end goal. There's no staying the same. So think about it long and hard. Does the position that you're interviewing for actually offer you the things that you need on your resume? The couple of grand may not end up being enough when you're trading stability from your previous employer and then potentially inheriting an unstable situation. The old guys are a known commodity. You know what you're working with there. This new team, you have no idea who they are. You have no idea the stability of the company, and you have no idea how they treat things like layoffs, etc. And I'm going to harp on this again. This all boils down to career strategy. If you lack career strategy, you're likely to take positions that are actually going to hurt you long term. And most people can't see them in the moment. And it's only with the benefit of hindsight that you recognize the critical mistakes that you've made. And trust me, it's a lot harder to fix career mistakes that you made years ago than it is to just make the right decision to begin with. So focus on jobs that are a good immediate and long-term fit for you today so that you can avoid those problems going forward. Now, these are obviously some of the signs that you should be looking for when you're considering a job opportunity. Be excited that you've got a job offer to consider, and it may actually be a great opportunity, but just be smart about your decisions. And this isn't to say that every opportunity out there is full of red flags, because there's genuinely great companies, great hiring managers, great job opportunities out there if you know what you're looking for. Hopefully you're one of the lucky ones, or you've built up the skill sets to be able to identify who is a red flag and which companies are actually good for your long-term career. So congratulations on the job offer. Hopefully it's a good decision for you. But if you need more help in your job search, that's something that I specialize in. I've got a website called alifeafterlayoff.com, which is loaded with tips and tricks, all from a recruiting insider's perspective. And I share my deepest and most intimate knowledge in the form of some training courses. The first and most critical one is career strategy, because everything you do in your career, from how you write resumes, how you approach interviewing, how you approach your networking, it is all based on the foundation of your career, which is career strategy. So I created a very detailed and robust course on how to map out your entire career, how to navigate through corporate politics, and how to get promoted and break into the leadership career path. And it's called the Ultimate Career Blueprint. So if you're struggling and spinning wheels in your career, I suggest that you take a long, hard look at your career strategy and clearly identify it. And if you need more help with your resume, I've got a course called Resume Rocketfuel, which is designed to teach you how to write a resume from a recruiting perspective. And once you get your foot in the door and you're actually going through the interview process, that's where the Ultimate Job Seeker Bootcamp comes in. I break down each step of a major corporation's hiring processes, and I give you tips, techniques, and strategies on how to ace each round, and ultimately getting you to the job offer. And we teach you how to negotiate it so you don't leave any money on the table. Anyway, hopefully you found this video to be helpful. Congratulations on the job offer. I know you're going to make the right decision. And again, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Delete Me. Appreciate you watching. We'll see you on the next one.